The Anglo Zanzibar War. It's officially the shortest war in history. On August 27, 1896, the British Empire demanded that Zanzibar accept a new sultan who supported British interests, but the Zanzibari leadership refused, choosing to crown their own candidate. The British gave them a 2-hour deadline. When it passed, war broke out. British ships bombarded the palace, and within 38 to 45 minutes, it was all over. More than 500 Zanzibaris died. The British had just one sailor injured. The Six-Day War. In June 1967, Israel launched a surprise airstrike that crippled Egypt's air force before most of their planes even left the ground. What followed was one of the most lightning-fast wars in modern history. In just 6 days, Israel fought Egypt, Jordan, and Syria, 3 of its largest neighbors, and seized massive territories, including the Gaza Strip, the Sinai Peninsula, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. This war wasn't just fast, it redrew the entire map of the Middle East. The Football War. In July 1969, tensions between El Salvador and Honduras reached their boiling point, ironically, right after a World Cup qualifier. But this wasn't about football. For years, issues like land disputes, poverty, and mass migration created deep resentment between the two countries. When violence broke out among fans and citizens, both governments turned to military force. Airstrikes followed, troops crossed borders, and after roughly 100 hours of combat, a ceasefire was signed. Thousands were dead, and tens of thousands were displaced. It was a war sparked by a football match, but fueled by something much deeper: the Invasion of Grenada. In October 1983, after a Marxist coup seized control of the Caribbean island of Grenada, the United States launched Operation Urgent Fury. The official reason? To protect American medical students and restore democracy. But behind the scenes, the Cold War was at play. The U.S. feared the spread of communism so close to home. Within days, over 7,000 U.S. troops landed, secured the island, and dismantled the new regime. The entire operation lasted just about a week. The Russo Georgian War. In August 2008, Georgia launched a military operation to retake South Ossetia, a breakaway region aligned with Russia. What followed was a brutal response. Russian tanks, aircraft, and troops stormed in, pushing deep into Georgian territory. It took just 5 days. By the time a ceasefire was negotiated, Russia had asserted control over South Ossetia and Abkhazia and sent a chilling message to its neighbors. The Kargil War. In May 1999, high in the icy peaks of the Himalayas, Pakistani soldiers disguised as militants crossed the line of control and occupied strategic Indian positions in the Kargil district. India responded with a massive counteroffensive: airstrikes, artillery, and infantry climbing vertical cliffs to retake the ground. Though the total war lasted under 2 months, most of the heavy fighting ended in just 3 weeks. Over 500 Indian and 300 Pakistani soldiers died. The Yom Kippur War. On October 6, 1973, during the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack on Israeli positions. In the opening days, Israeli forces were pushed back hard. Shock, confusion, and devastating losses followed. But by the second week, Israel had regrouped and begun to reverse the tide, crossing the Suez Canal and surrounding Egyptian troops. Although the war officially lasted about 19 days, the most pivotal and intense combat was over within the first 2 weeks. The war reshaped global alliances and triggered an oil crisis that shocked the world economy. The Second Battle of Fallujah. Starting on November 7, 2004, U.S. Marines and coalition forces launched a full-scale assault on the Iraqi city of Fallujah, then a stronghold for insurgents and foreign fighters. In less than a month, they engaged in some of the bloodiest urban combat since Vietnam: house-to-house fighting, booby traps, snipers on every corner. Though the operation officially continued into late December, most of the city was under U.S. control before the month was over. It was short, but the intensity and brutality turned Fallujah into a symbol of modern urban warfare. The Egypt-Libya War. For 4 days in July 1977, Egypt and Libya went to war over escalating border tensions, propaganda campaigns, and military provocations. After Libyan troops fired on Egyptian positions, Egypt launched a lightning assault with tanks and airstrikes. In just days, they reached deep into Libyan territory, but President Anwar Sadat called off the offensive, fearing it would draw in broader regional chaos. The war ended almost as fast as it began, with Egypt flexing its strength and Libya licking its wounds. The 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh War. Though the war officially lasted 44 days, most of the strategic ground was won by Azerbaijan within the first 3 weeks. Backed by Turkish drones and modern tactics, Azerbaijan retook territories held by Armenian forces for decades. Key cities fell rapidly, and Armenia eventually agreed to a Russian-brokered ceasefire. It was fast, high-tech, and deadly. The 2021 Israel-Hamas conflict. In May 2021, rockets fired from Gaza triggered a swift and overwhelming Israeli response. Over the next 11 days, thousands of airstrikes and missile barrages lit up the skies. Entire neighborhoods were leveled. Hundreds died. And then, just as suddenly, a ceasefire. Like many short wars, it left behind long-term scars and no lasting peace.